I've had students who told me that it seems sometimes I actually had to study in almost secrecy, right? Because, and especially these are the folks who had previously attempted the exam using other resources or whatnot and have had a couple of failures.
Have my test date locked in, and then I reverse timeline that to make sure that I had everything done at least, I think, 4 weeks in advance. My lunch breaks was studying, so I used that hour to study, and then 2 hours after work till about 6:30 to 7. So it was do one lecture or maybe a full chapter in the study guide over lunch, and then do a couple more lectures at the end of the day. So I would just get all my stuff done in the morning as much as I could, so then the evening was freed up for. So there was rehashing that I had to go back into and kind of understand why this was being applied to everything later. And then when I did finally take the test, it made sense. All those things pop back up.
Hi, Cam.
Good morning.
Good morning. How's it going?
Doing well. Doing well.
Congratulations, Cam, on getting your P Power exam done in the first attempt. It was not so long ago that a few months ago that we had a similar type of conversation after your FE electrical success in the first attempt. And now here we are, I think within a margin of what, 4 or 5 months, discussing your P Power success story.
Yeah, it was, I think, August, September. We had our kind of kickoff meeting to start the PE.
Right.
Passing the FE exam, so yeah.
So let me ask you this question, a friend. Was FE, did FE not burn out you enough that you wanted to take a little break? Why did you dive right into it? And by the way, this is my recommendation to get the exams done one after another. But what was your mindset? What was your approach in terms of taking this on right after accomplishing the FE electrical?
I knew that I wanted to kind of, at least beginning of the year 2024, I just said this whole year is going to be blocked off for studying. So I knew that each one wasn't going to take a full 6 months. So I did make sure that I kind of eased into it at the beginning of the year, kind of set a game plan for the FE. And then after I passed the FE, I gave myself 3 weeks. So I took a vacation, took some time off, kind of went back to just being brain dead for about 3 weeks, and then came back, and I was a little bit more refreshed to start kind of beginning your classes again.
Right. And when did you graduate? How many years you are out of school already?
2007, graduated with my double E degree. So that's, oh man, coming up on almost 20 years now. It's been 18 years since I graduated.
Yeah, that's really impressive. And then your FE exam preparation timeline, I'm going to include link to that discussion that we had earlier somewhere here. But it was about 3.5, 4 months, correct?
It was right at 4. Yeah, I think it was March through June is what.
March through June. And you utilize on-demand course only or on-demand plus live training as well?
Both. So I did the on-demand training to start out, and then I think both times with the FE and the PE, I jumped into the live training as it was going on. So I wanted to make sure I got the on-demand and then use the live course as kind of my refresher and backup, and then anything that like you bring up in your live classes that changes from the on-demand.
Right. So after a 3 week break, I think that's a good strategy. Once, if you, even if you're deciding to jump right into the P Power exam prep, it is important to take maybe a couple of weeks off just to have a little bit of a reset. And I think that is equally important, not only for you, but others around you to get that break, because it's not you only who's taking the exam, right? Those around you also get pushed to their limits, correct?
Totally. Yeah. And it's, especially those last couple of weeks doing a lot of practice exams, because I mean it's an 8-hour, 9-hour exam. So the practice exam is 9 hours of my day that I have to set aside that I can't do anything else, and it's usually on a non-work day. So my wife, it's hey, it's Saturday. I'm gonna go climb into a hole for 9 hours. So
Yeah, and it also builds up that pressure on the person who's taking the exam or preparing for the exam, because I think in the other person's mind it's like, what is Cam doing? Like, how difficult can this thing be, right? Like,
are you actually studying in there?
or yeah, or is he actually studying there, right? Or just escaping from responsibilities and chores and this and that, right? And I've had students who told me that it seems sometimes I actually had to study in almost secrecy, right? Because, and especially these are the folks who had previously attempted the exam using other resources or whatnot and have had a couple of failures. And now that pressure and that mental scarring is even much more pronounced, right? And people around you start either doubting whether it's worth the effort because you're already employed, right? I mean, you're already doing decent, you already have a job, you already have had promotions in the past, and you're holding a decent role and whatnot. And then like, what difference will it make once you get your PE anyway? So why bother with this? And you're dragging me through that entire process, right? So all of that conversations, I know students have other challenges outside of just preparing for the exam to get this exam done, right? How did you cope with that? Do you have a magic formula, Cam?
I'm super thankful that I didn't go through any type of failures. I don't know how I would have responded to that. I'm sure I would have jumped straight back in and been fine, but it's telling everyone else that you failed. I'm glad I didn't have to go through that process because, like you said, it's not only do you start doubting yourself, but you wonder if other people are doubting you, if you think like you're in the wrong industry, and if you think that maybe people like at work are going to say, well, maybe he isn't the type of person we need working on these projects. So I'm happy that part didn't come into my mind at all. But yeah, there's a lot of pressure. The job I was in for so long, for maybe 12, 13 years, I had so many different PEs that I was working with that it was never on me to get my PE, let alone my FE at that point. It just kind of passed me by. So I started a new job in 2023 where I was the lead, and I had people underneath me that were at least multiple PEs. So I was kind of, there was a lot of pressure. And then obviously the people that hired me on, one of the stipulations was also you need to get your PE. So I was like, okay, this is the time to new job, impress the people at work, and then kind of prove that they hired me for a reason. And so, yeah, it was, I'd say my method was obviously signing up for your classes. I didn't want to go into this as just kind of doing it on my own type situation. So signing up for your classes, taking both the live courses, the on demand, all the practice exams that I could take, and then also just really dedicating. Uh, like I said, I took 2 to 3 weeks off between the two tests, but I made sure that I had a length of time where every single week I could take at least one day off and just kind of reset, rest, and get my mind back to it.
During your P power exam preparation.
Yeah. So I would do probably 3 hours every single day and then take one day off a week just to relax.
And during that day, at the back of your mind, you were not sort of itching to check out a lecture or do some problem sets and
It crossed my mind, but I made sure to kind of use those days to like get out of the house, maybe go to dinner, go do an activity, go to see a concert or something with my wife. So it was something where I didn't have access to my computer to sit down and
that's great. I think that's great advice. So catch up on life basically, because you have to have this done in a sustainable manner. Because I do get emails from students when they're approaching the final lap and they're like, I'm feeling burned out, right?
I
And my
definitely
advice
felt
at the,
that.
oh yeah, of course,
Yeah.
it's real. It's real because you're just completely this it takes over your life, right? The B exam preparation. So that's a good strategy. And during that time you did not open up your laptop, your computer, and essentially it was just like a way of removing yourself from this mission temporarily. And it's sort of a what they call a refreshing, rejuvenating cycle that you built yourself.
It was like going to sleep at night. It's you wake up. So that full day was just kind of my brain just kind of taking a little rest. And then Saturday morning I'd wake up, get right to it, and never miss a beat. So it was, I made sure to have my test date locked in, and then I reverse timeline that to make sure that I had everything done at least I think 4 weeks in advance, just to make sure I had enough time.
Great. And I know you are into physical fitness as well and exercise. Did that take a backstab, or were you still able to do a little bit of physical activity?
Still able to do that. So I'm a morning workout person, so all I did was just wake up maybe 30 minutes earlier just so I could get back home, get showered and get ready for work. So it was my lunch breaks was studying. So I used that hour to study, and then 2 hours after work till about 6:30 to 7. So it was do one lecture or maybe a full chapter in the study guide over lunch, and then do a couple more lectures at the end of the day. So I would just get all my stuff done in the morning as much as I could. So then the evening was freed up for studying.
Right. In terms of the level of difficulty, FE electrical and P power, I tell students, and you would have heard, multiple times I mentioned this, that they're similar yet different, right? They're both, you can say that they're racket sports. For example, one is squash, one is tennis, one is table tennis, the other one is something else, pickleball. So all the good practices in terms of your routine, in terms of working with the schedule, in terms of immersing yourself in the content and understanding both concepts as well as doing a bunch of practice problems, all of those fundamentals carry over. But for you, what was the biggest difference between the two exams, and how did you adjust yourself, your approach accordingly?
Yeah, I think your example's right on. It's kind of like a decathlon where you're taking a bunch of different stuff. You don't have to be the best at all of them. You just have to be pretty good at all of them, and you can place. But now you're fully focused on just one specific area. I mean, there is different chapters and stuff, but it's all built on the same fundamentals of power. So um, I'd say the difficulty probably hits around midway through.
Section 2, three phase per unit symmetrical.
Yes, the per units and symmetrical components and three phases. It was, like you said, that is the foundation that builds onto the rest of the entire preparation. And so it's something new. I'd never per unit was something I'd never come across before. So I mean, I did and not know it. Like when I see the impedance on a transformer, I'm not that didn't come across as, oh, this is per unit. So yeah, I was learning new concepts and then also kind of incorporating that into the concepts I already knew. So yeah, the FE was just relearning stuff. The PE was learning new things.
Right. And what was your approach when you come across something where I am digging in deeper and deeper and deeper, and you're like, Wasim, when will you stop, right? Working through the derivation step by step, fault analysis, for example, and even sequence components, right? The whole visual explanation of sequence components are composed of positive, negative, and zero sequence. And this is why they are important, because otherwise we cannot handle unbalanced faults. And then I put together those vectors and show you that, so that level of detail, was it initially a little bit frustrating to grapple with, or how did you cope with realizing that, no, I need to take a step back and listen to what's being explained, because in some way, shape, or form, it is going to help me, because otherwise I can miss out on questions and conceptual and deep understanding. So how did you adjust your learning?
It's kind of like when I guess you're reading a book and you'll read a paragraph and you'll say, I don't really know what I just read. And so that was kind of like I would listen to the lectures and then you go into the deep dive and I would get done with the lecture and I'd be like, well, I mostly understood that. And it wasn't until the later sections, when that kept coming back up, I went back and I rewatched all of those lectures and the live courses, and it started making sense at that point. So there was rehashing that I had to go back into and kind of understand why this was being applied to everything later. And then when I did finally take the test, it made sense. All those things pop back up, and everything on itself. And so like it's not like there's different sections on like the FE. It's every question is pretty similar to all the other questions.
Yeah, because all the concepts are intertwined, right? It's not that when you're in software you can turn your brain off and not worry about ng-con, right? Because in this, ng-con and software and computer systems are all mumbled and jumbled in the same question, right? Without three phase, you cannot go forward with understanding truly how the CT are configured for differential protection, right? Protection is a different topic. Strictly speaking, measurement instrumentation, CTs are a different topic, and three phase are a different topic. But if you don't understand this, you won't be able to size these guys for this application. And that's the beauty of P power exam. And I think there is a little bit of a level of patience that is required until you get to section 3 and section number 4, when you have that aha moment, right? That, okay, this is why we were actually bothering about three phase in so much depth, and we had to understand the difference between ABC sequence and ACB sequence and whatnot. So, aside from just passing the exam, Cam, has it helped you feel more confident as a power systems engineer, as an electrical engineer?
Absolutely. It was kind of like this, I'm in the right place. I, and there was things that I learned that I've been doing at my job for almost a decade that conceptually started making sense of, oh, okay, this is why we're doing this. This is why obviously there's no neutral on the delta. Now this makes sense because
There is a neutral on the delta, by the way, but we cannot access it.
yes, that's right. Yeah. The highlight, yeah. So it's stuff like that that like I never really sat down and like understood why it's more difficult to pull like the 120 off, or not the 120, but like the 208 and stuff like that. Yeah. So it reinforced a lot of stuff that I already knew, but then also kind of gave me a full understanding. And it's kind of interesting. There's a couple of people that, like I said, there are PEs underneath me, but there are a lot of things that they come to me and ask me questions about just because I've been in the industry for so long that it was kind of backhand knowledge for me. So I don't advise waiting 18 years to take it, but I think it helped the work experience. It complemented the PE exam quite a bit.
Yeah, not only does it help and this is first principle way of learning, right? And I tell the students upfront that maybe we can take a shorter, a much faster approach to just getting the exam done. But I tell the students upfront there are two goals when you enroll in my program, the P Power program. One is to pass the exam, primary objective. Secondary objective, which in my mind sometimes turns into a primary objective, as you've seen my live training sessions, 2.5, 3 hour long, right? Is to actually really get down to the bottom of where this is coming from. Why are we doing things the way that we are doing? And in the long run, actually not in the long run, like 3 month, 4 month of immersive studying to level up your skill set and really get to know things that you've been doing for the last 10 years much better. I don't think that's a big trade-off, right? I think it's worth the effort for a very short period of time.
Absolutely. And one of the questions I got was, I guess, regarding the FE. Someone asked me, you could probably apply to not take the FE and get by.
Exemption, yeah.
Or, yeah, the exemption. And I said I didn't want to do that. I was like, I need to be in the mindset before I take the PE.
Exactly. And the exemption approach can come and bite you in the back later down the road, because then on a state by state level, you have to sort of put in applications, and multiple states are going to reject that. But building on that last comment that we were discussing, I think that once you truly understand all the concepts and intricacies and nuances and complexities, then you start actually enjoying those things a little bit better, because you can dig in a little bit more depth, right? And you can it just intellectually it's very stimulating. I know I'm talking like a nerd, but it just makes you become a better operator at your craft, right? And if you enjoy what you're doing every day, and you the other aspect is that you'll start getting recognized as an expert, somebody who deeply understands what he's talking about. And the other thing is that that imposter syndrome sometimes that we carry within ourselves, you become just so liberated. You're like, okay, throw at me whatever you want to throw at me within this domain. Obviously, I don't know all the answers, but this is my playing field, right? I won't be pushed around within this circle, right? And that gives you a sense of confidence, and it shines through. Other people are able to recognize that, notice that.
And that has for sure, I mean, the imposter syndrome was slightly there before the test. I think it's completely been eliminated at this point. Obviously, I don't, like you said, I don't know everything. I can always look it up, but I would answer questions and I would give my advice on designs and stuff. But not having that PE label on there, it did kind of not make it feel like I was respected as some of the other people that had their PE. But yeah.
And there's no other way to earn that respect. You cannot talk your way through getting respect and recognition, generally speaking. I mean, some people probably do that, but then they are operating in a different domain. They're more in leadership or management roles where those type of things are required. But in a technical domain, it becomes very clear very quickly, especially to the folks who really know what they're doing, whether you are faking it or making it along the way, right? Or you are truly competent. And that cannot be purchased. It's a priceless accomplishment, right? So your credential, fine, you got the credential, is going to serve you well, job promotions, recognition, and whatnot. But that inherent interactions, and when every time you interact with people, with public, with clients, with customers, with vendors, with contractors, with consultants, right? And they know, okay, Cam actually knows what he's talking about, right? So that is amazing.
And yeah, I mean, I've never had a business card here at my new job, but now that I've got once I get my first license, yeah, I'll have that PE next to my name on the business card, which is going to be nice.
Amazing. Congratulations once again, Cam, on this wonderful achievement. And I look forward to staying in touch with you. I am developing new courses, short courses, technical courses. You'll get details on that. And it's been a pleasure having you in the program, your dedication, your focus, the timeline within which you were able to accomplish these goals. A lot of people would be envious. They would be like, okay, what do I need to do in order to get this done within 8 months? And to be honest, I'll tell you that there's no magic pill, right? There is no magic formula. There's no shortcut to it. The amount of effort that you put in and how consistently you were engaged during your preparation, asking quality questions, and I could see your level of understanding slowly but surely improving. And you did not slack off for a even tiny bit, right? You, even the concepts that were challenging, you were probing and you were understanding and you were asking quality questions right up into the, I think, the last 48 hours of your exam, right? I did receive an email about a three-phase problem that you were running into, and you're like, Wasim, can you just verify that this understanding is correct? Right? I remember it was within the last 2 days, correct?
I think it
You
was
sent me.
like maybe 12 hours before my exam.
We are in different time zones. I'm in EST, you are in PST, so it's difficult to keep track. But yeah, it's great having had you in the program, and I'm confident you're going to do amazing things.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having this program, and thank you for taking all of your time for doing these live classes, the on demand, and then obviously answering any question I had immediately. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks a lot, Cam. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. On a weekly basis, I'm creating content for FE electrical and PE power exam preparation. I also discuss topics related to electrical engineering with a focus on power systems engineering. If you'd like to learn more about my FE electrical and PE power exam preparation programs, please visit my website, studyforfe.com.